Hi guys, welcome and welcome back. If this is your first time, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for clicking on this video. In this video, we are going to talk about 10 rhinestone Silhouette Studio shortcuts and features that could up your rhinestone designing game. Are you ready to hear this one? Alright, if you do, remember to give me a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on that post notification bell so you'll be notified each time I make a video. All right, guys, let's go. I want to talk about is using a mouse when you're designing. I believe that using a mouse when doing rhinestone designing would be quite beneficial. Why? Because it allows you to move faster, especially if you are going to move stones. And if you know, and if you have designed a template before, you know that moving those stones are no joke. It will take you forever to get the stones the correct way and to make the template look really nice. Now, so that would be my first tip before jumping into the software itself. Using a mouse is gonna be your best bet. Now, let's talk about Silhouette Studio itself. The second point that I want to talk about is knowing your Silhouette Studio shortcuts. Now, this can be quite beneficial, or it's gonna improve your rhinestone game if you know the shortcuts that will help you to not only design, but to design faster and more efficient. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is the offset tool. Now, the offset tool is going to be your best friend. So, why? Because you should always offset before you start to make to put your rhinestones in. Why? Because using the offset tool, it creates a smoother edge, right? So that your rhinestones could fall into place, and it prevents broken or jagged stone placement. So if you do a design and you have templates that or stones that are overlapping, especially if you're doing multiple designs, what the offset tool does is that it creates space in between those two layers that could help you to have easy transition when you're placing your stone. Now, what is the offset panel? Now, this is the offset panel. The offset panel, if you look to my right, it is a star within a star. And when I open it, this is what it looks like. Now, this panel is going to be your best friend. And knowing what distance to use at what time is also going to be crucial. So let me just quickly show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to my A, I'm going to press anywhere on my canvas, and I'm gonna just type the word love because we all need more love in our lives. And what I'm gonna do, I'm going to show you the importance of having an offset. I'm just gonna change my font to something else that is a little bit better. I'm gonna use impact. Okay, so here I have the word love, I have impact, and say I want to make another layer. I want to put another thing, so I would say love more. Let me do more. Okay, so I want to say love more, and if I should, let me use that script font. That is, let me do boisterous sketch. Okay, so I like this font and I want to use this font, but I don't want it to be separate from each other. I want it to actually be on top of each other. If I should go ahead, so let me put color on this, take the line off. I'm gonna leave that because that is a single line. I'm gonna duplicate this just in case I could use it again. So I want it to look like this versus like this, because I think it will look much better when it's butted up together like this. Now, if I should go ahead and add rhinestones to this, so I'm gonna open my rhinestone panel, and if I add rhinestones to the word love, this is what it looks like. And I'm just gonna add rhinestones to the word more, and I'm going to put a color, right? What you'll find if I zoom up, you'll find that the rhinestones on the purple, they're overlapping the rhinestones in the orange, right? And if you should go ahead and cut it like this, what is gonna happen is that you are going to run yourselves in some problem when you're going to layer it. So using the offset tool, in this case, you are going to create a gap between the purple and the orange, so that the purple could lay flat into the orange. So I'm going to take off that, and I'm going to take off the word, this one. So if I take it off, you're not going to see it because it's gonna go away, but I'm going to put an offset. Let me cancel that. Let me put no. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to click on more, and I'm going to put an offset on it. Now there are some words, some fonts that doesn't. Let me do a different one, because to do that one I'll have to. Alright, so I'm gonna use DTC College Sketch. That one, it doesn't give me an offset around it. Some of them happens that way. So to get this, the offset, you put an offset around the word more. Now, if you look at this, you see that there is an offset that is around that word. So what I could do is to create a space in between that so that it could cut it out. So if I press shift, hold on my shift key, and I press the word love, now I have love and the offset selected. What I could do is to create a space using the offset panel. I could create a space so that the word more could sit in that space perfectly. Now the distance that I use is a 0.125. Why? Because the size of a SS10 rhinestone is actually a 0.130. So what that does is that it creates that space so that when I add those stones to it, it will not overlap and it will just fall in place. So the offset tool is going to be your best friend. Now if I should go ahead and open my modify panel, which is the star within a star, and I hit subtract, you're going to see that it cut out, I'm going to make that a compound path, it cut out that space in between those letters. So if I go ahead again, and I add my rhinestones just like I did, and I'm gonna bring this a little bit closer, right? And then I go ahead now and I add rhinestones to the other one. You see that there are no more overlapping stones between the purple and the orange. All right, so using the offset tool is going to be your best friend. Okay. All right, the next point that I want to bring up, another shortcut that I want to talk about, is using compound path. Now, to make a compound path, you will just go up to object and you click on make a compound path, right? Now, that is good and okay, but I'm gonna show you, if you look beside these to make a compound path and release compound path, you actually see the shortcut that you could use, right? So if I press Control E, I could make a compound path without even coming up to object, or Control Shift E, I could release the compound path. So here, right here, if you notice, and let me zoom up, if you notice that my orange, the word love, is a compound path, right? To get rid of that compound path, because what a compound path does is that it allows the software to treat that object as a layer. Okay, so right now on my canvas I have two layers. I have the orange and I have the purple. Now if I should go and cut it out, the software is gonna say, oh, the purple is one layer and the orange is another layer. Why? Because both of them are two different compound paths. Okay, so in order for you to fix messy designs, right, or to fix overlapping or weird shapes, you want to use the release compound path feature, because it helps your rhinestones to look more even. So if your rhinestones are uneven, it allows your rhinestone to look more even and you'll have clearer rhinestone designs. All right. So for example, this right here, if I should zoom up, this is the purple, which is my DTC cottage sketch, right? You see it falls in line, really nice. Okay. But if you notice, you see that these are two overlapping stones. There's this stone on top of that stone. If you go here in the R, you see that there are multiple stones sitting on top of each other. Now, in order for you to fix that, you have to first, I'm going to select my purple. See up here, the purple is showing. I'm going to have to weld it first. Now, the reason why I'm welding it first is to ensure that the stones are the same. So in order, my shortcut keyboard for that would be Control Shift W. Okay, so if I press Control Shift and W, then what will happen is that it's gonna first weld that font. When it welds that font, then you're going to find that it will make it just one object. And after I weld it, I'm going to go ahead and make it a compound path. Now remember, we said that, let me go back because I want you to see something. All right, so I weld it. You notice there are bounding back boxes all around, right? But they're still overlapping stones. You see that? They're overlapping stones. So making it a compound path, I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to make it again into a compound path. So I'm going to press Control Shift E. Let me go back. I'm going to right click, make it a compound path. When I make it a compound path, what do you notice? Look, all those overlapping stones are gone. All right, all those overlapping stones are gone. So making things a compound path before you release your rhinestones are gonna be your best bet. All right, the next one that I want to talk about is the Control G and the Control Shift G. Now, Control G means you are grouping. So if I should select everything, run my mouse over everything, I could press Control G. And what that does, you see that both of them is together, right? But if I press Control Shift G, you're going to see that there's a bounding box around more, and there is also a bounding box around the word love. So knowing those little shortcuts allows you to go a little bit faster. So it keeps, so what Control G and Control Shift G does is that it keeps design together while you're moving, and it also quickly separate elements for editing. So when you're editing, if you want to edit a particular part of the design, then that will be important. Now, another thing that I want to talk about that some of us don't even think about doing is using the align panel. Okay, using the align panel, which is this icon right here. So when you click on it, you're gonna see 3 little bars, right? So let me group this, Control G, remember, group them together. I'm gonna move that out the way, but let me take this again, and let me take this one. Let me change this to cottage, GTG, cottage sketch. Okay, so here we have this one, and you want to align this so that the more is in the center of the word love. All right, so if I click on both of them, what this does is that I could go up to my align tool and I could align it to the left. If I align it to the left, it is going to bring everything to the left of the design. If I do the center, align center, what it does is that it's going to put it in the middle. So you see that word love moved because the word more is bigger than the word love. So what it does is that it moves the word love into the center, and it's the same thing for the left. It's gonna take it all the way to the right, and then this is interesting. This one, it aligns it at the bottom. This one, it aligns it in the middle. So this could have been a cute design also, where you cut out the word more out of the word love, and that would be a cute design also. You don't have to put it at the bottom. It can also be in the middle, where you cut out the offset inside the middle. All right, so that one is very, very important, so that it will help you to design a little bit faster and allow your rhinestone projects to come out really nice. Another one that I have used a million, gazillion, millions of times that I really love, and I always tell people, guys, if you want to when you're designing, you have to duplicate. So I'm gonna switch my tab to something that I have done already, and I'm gonna use that as an example. So this is one of my newest rhinestone template, my story God's glory. And if you look at my designing my panel right here, right, all you see that for every step that I do, I duplicate. I always duplicate, because one, when I write story or glory, I duplicate it just in case I will forget to do something and I have to go back to the first step. So for every step that I do, I duplicate. Now, in order to duplicate your design, you're going to click on everything you want to duplicate, and you're going to press Alt on your keyboard. I don't know for Mac users what Alt equals to. Somebody can tell me in the chat. You press Alt and you just use your mouse and drag. That's it. You don't have to go and do, you can go ahead and do left click and duplicate right here, but it's easier when you could just press Alt and drag it out, put it away, right? So duplicate, it's great for repeating patterns and designs. So when you're using the duplicate, you basically helps you to have something that you could go back to and do. All right, earlier I touched on the weld tool, right? And we spoke about the weld, and I told you that what the weld does is it removes overlapping lines, and it allows the elements or the text to have a smooth shape. And you must not do this before, you must do this before you add your rhinestone. So let's take the word more. I'm going to click on the word more, and I'm going to drag it out. Remember, we're learning, we're using what we learn. And this is a perfect example. I just did it. I'm just going to go over it again. If I should add my rhinestones to this, where is my rhinestone panel? Okay, I'm gonna add a edge. If you look on it, you're going to see lots of overlapping stones. Lots of overlapping stone. If you should release the compound path for this design right here, and then try to move these stones, you will have stones hiding behind each other. And that is a headache. That has happened to me before. And when I finished the design, I saw so many overlapping stones, and I had to release the compound path and try to figure it out. Trust me, it's going to cost you a lot. It's gonna cost you less headache if you do it the way that I'm telling you. So I'm going to put color on it so that you could see again. Okay, let me do something brighter. I love this color. Okay, I'm taking the line off. See, you may not see it now, but all these stones right here are overlapping each other. So in order to make this word a smooth word, see, all of here overlapping. Click on it, you go up to modify, or you press Ctrl Shift W, you weld that word, and when you weld it, you still go ahead and you make it a compound path. When you make it a compound path, see that? That looks so much better, so much cleaner, and you don't have a lot of work to do to clean it up. All right? Remember, I told you that you should add your rhinestones afterwards. In this case, I did not. Why? Because this text actually is a single line font. And seeing that it is a single line font, if I take the line off, you will not be able to see it. That is why I left the rhinestones, for you to see it. All right? All right, so another one. So we talk about density, we talked about duplicating, we talk about welding. Another one is to control the density of our rhinestones, right? So, which is also the spacing. All right, so let me go back to, here. I'm gonna take away more, because I want to show you the difference between having a good density and having okay. So if I click on the word love and I'm going to add rhinestones to it, say I'm going to add the radial fill, you see that you can make out the word love, right? You can look at it and say, oh, that's love. But the stones are so far apart, and this is where density comes in. So you could allow your designs to look full, or the design could look cheap. So in this case, this design looks really cheap. Why? Because the rhinestones are just so far apart. And if I should, because when you put your rhinestones in, it's going to default to a 0.39 spacing, or the density is going to be 0.039, but you can actually move it so that rhinestones are closer. So if I to change my density, so this is the density that I use, a 0.15, what do you notice? You see that it is more legible, right? It's more legible. You can read it a little bit better than when the rhinestones were far apart. And still, what I would do is to release the stones, go in and to fill in all of those spots. So this, now you take a design from looking blah to a design that looks really full and nice. All right, so it allows you to adjust the space. So spacing or the density is quite important when you are doing your rhinestones. All right, another one that I want to talk about is the trace. The trace panel. So let me just go ahead and grab something. Say for instance, you see this wonderful PNG. So this is a PNG image of a cross, and you see this wonderful PNG, and you say it will look really nice in a rhinestone design. However, it's a PNG. Now, if I should just go ahead and apply rhinestones to this is what's gonna happen. Let me zoom up and show you. You see that? Look at these stones right here. These like half of a stone. There's a piece of stone here. So in other words, you can't make this into a rhinestone design because it's not an SVG. Okay, fine. Doesn't mean that all hope is lost. All right? Doesn't mean that all hope is lost. Let me show you how you could use the trace panel in order to help you with this problem. So I'm going to take the rhinestones off, and I'm going to go over to my trace panel. Now the trace panel looks like a bee, this little thing right here. So I'm gonna click on it, and what they're gonna ask you to do is to select the trace area. So I'm gonna select the area that I want to trace, and the threshold actually looks good, but you can always go ahead and increase the threshold, you know, but my threshold actually looks good. And what I will do, I will go ahead and trace it. Now when I trace it, see that this was what it once was. Now this is something that I could go ahead, I could add color to it. Gonna add my purple, take the line off, and then I could go ahead and add my rhinestones to it. Now look at the difference. I should have duplicated the other one. See? All the rhinestones are perfect. See that? All the rhinestones are perfect. So using the trace panel, it helps you to get cleaner lines, allows you to have cleaner results. And even if you want to include PNGs in your design, which SVGs are very, you know, rhinestone friendly, but you see a PNG that you want to use, then you can do that. All right, using the trace panel. Now the final one, I spoke about it earlier. The first thing I spoke about is using a mouse. Yes, a mouse to help you to do your rhinestones. So what a mouse does, it helps you to zoom in quickly by pressing Alt and just rolling that wheel. You zoom in or you zoom out. So I'm just pressing Alt and I'm rolling the wheel. So that way I could see what stones need to be fixed, where should I put it, yada 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 yada. It's so easy when you use a mouse. And the last tip that I have for you is design big. So when you're doing a design, make it big first. So for instance, I want to make this heart, this cross. I'm going to make my cross big first, and then I scale it down to what I want it to be. All right. So what that does is that it keeps your shape little bit more smoother, and it gives better stone placement. So trust me, having these short the shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts is very important. Knowing these tools are very important. And the last one that I would suggest is find fonts that are rhinestone friendly. When I talk about rhinestone friendly fonts, I'm talking about fonts that are bold, that are legible. There are fonts on Creative Fabrica that you could use. That's where I get all my fonts, from Creative Fabrica, and they help me to make. And I some days I just go and look for fonts, you know. So go on Creative Fabrica. I might list some of my favorite ones in the description box. So be sure to check the description box for fonts that I enjoy using. And the last thing I would want to say to you is practice shows improvement. Keep going, keep practicing. You will not get it the first time, but as you practice and as you learn, you will become better at this. All right, let me know if this was helpful, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.